this episode, we move into one of the most important areas for brand new security learners because many attacks do not begin with a broken firewall or an advanced exploit. They begin with a person being persuaded, rushed, tricked, or manipulated into giving away access, information, or trust. That broader manipulation is called social engineering, and it matters because organizations can have solid technology while still being exposed if their people are pressured into opening the door from the inside. Password protection and phishing awareness fit directly into that picture because attackers often target the easiest path to control, which is a real user making a bad decision under stress or confusion. Once you understand how these attacks work at a human level, the topic becomes much more practical. It stops sounding like a mysterious threat from outside and starts sounding like a set of everyday moments where awareness, caution, and better habits can prevent a small mistake from turning into a much larger security problem. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is part of our companion study series. The first book is a detailed study guide that explains the exam and helps you prepare for it with confidence. The second is a Kindle-only ebook with 1,000 flashcards you can use on your mobile device or Kindle for quick review. You can find both at Cyber.Me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. Social engineering is the use of psychological influence to get people to do something that benefits the attacker. Instead of attacking the system first, the attacker targets the human being who can provide access, reveal information, or perform a risky action on the attacker's behalf. This makes social engineering very powerful because people are naturally helpful, responsive, and often busy, which means they can be manipulated through normal workplace behavior rather than only through technical weakness. A beginner should think of social engineering as a misuse of trust. The attacker may pretend to be a coworker, a manager, a vendor, a customer, or a system alert so that the request feels familiar enough to lower the target's guard. The goal may be to steal credentials, gather personal details, trigger a payment, install malicious software, or simply gain enough information to make the next attack more believable. Once you see that the real target is human judgment, many common attack patterns start making more sense. One reason social engineering works so well is that it takes advantage of emotions and habits that are normal in healthy workplaces. People want to be cooperative, they want to solve problems quickly, and they often do not want to disappoint someone who appears to need urgent help. Attackers know this, so they build messages that create pressure, urgency, authority, fear, curiosity, or sympathy. A fraudulent message may imply that an account will be locked unless action is taken immediately, or it may appear to come from leadership asking for a confidential favor. A phone call may sound confident enough that the target assumes the caller must be legitimate. A beginner should understand that social engineering is rarely about making the victim feel foolish at first. It is about making the bad request feel reasonable in the moment. That is why defending against it requires more than technical tools. It requires learning how to slow down, question unusual requests, and protect your judgment from being pushed around by emotion and urgency. Phishing is one of the most common forms of social engineering, and it usually appears through messages that try to trick a person into clicking, downloading, replying, or entering credentials where they should not. Many beginners associate phishing only with email, but the same basic idea can appear in text messages, chat platforms, voice calls, fake websites, or social media messages. The message often looks close enough to normal that the target is tempted to act before noticing the warning signs. It may claim there is an account issue, a payment problem, a package delivery update, a secure document waiting, or a request from a supervisor. Sometimes the goal is broad and sent to many people at once, while other times it is tailored more carefully to one person or one team. That tailored version can be especially dangerous because it uses details about the target's role, company, or relationships to seem more credible. The important lesson for beginners is that phishing is not just fake mail. It is manipulated communication designed to trigger a risky action. Many phishing attempts succeed because they do not ask the target to do something that feels obviously dangerous. Instead, they imitate everyday digital behavior. Opening a document, following a link, reviewing a payment request, signing into a familiar service, or confirming an urgent message are all normal actions in modern work and personal life. Attackers hide inside that normality. A fake sign-in page may look almost identical to a real one. A message may use branding, formatting, or language that seems familiar enough to lower suspicion. A spoofed sender name may make the target think the message came from someone trusted even when the actual source does not match. Beginners need to hear this clearly because it explains why simple awareness matters so much. Defending against phishing is not about expecting every malicious message to look ridiculous. It is about noticing when a normal digital moment has been twisted into a trap. That means paying attention to context, timing, request type, and whether the message is trying to bypass your usual careful habits. Passwords sit at the center of this topic because social engineering often aims to capture the credentials that protect access to systems, accounts, and services. A password is not just a secret string of characters. It is a gate that helps determine whether the person using an account is really authorized to be there. If an attacker steals a password, the attacker may not need to break the system in a dramatic way because the stolen credential can allow entry through the front door. That is why password protection is not only about creating something hard to guess. It is also about preventing your password from being exposed, reused, shared, or entered into the wrong place under pressure. Beginners sometimes think of password safety as an isolated habit, but it is deeply connected to social engineering because many phishing attacks are really credential theft attacks in disguise. The attacker does not always care about the fake email itself. The attacker cares that the email creates a moment where the target willingly hands over access. A major mistake new learners often make is treating passwords as disposable because they are used so frequently in daily life. When a tool is common, people can become casual with it. They may reuse the same password across many services, choose something short and predictable, or rely on a pattern that becomes easy to guess once one example is exposed. This is dangerous because one compromised password can create a chain reaction if the same credential protects several important accounts. An attacker who steals one reused password may try it against email, cloud storage, shopping accounts, work systems, and financial services, knowing that many people rely on convenience rather than uniqueness. The key lesson for beginners is that each important account deserves strong protection of its own. Password safety is stronger when passwords are long, hard to predict, and not repeated across different services. That way, if one account is compromised, the damage is less likely to spread automatically into other parts of the user's digital life or work environment. Another important habit is understanding that a strong password can still be lost through bad behavior if the user is tricked into revealing it. This is why password protection and phishing awareness belong together instead of being studied separately. A person may have created a very strong password and still lose control of the account by typing it into a fake sign-in page or sharing it with someone who sounded legitimate on a call. That means the strength of the password matters, but the context in which it is used matters just as much. A beginner should think of password safety as a complete chain. The password should be strong, unique, and handled carefully, but the user must also be able to recognize when a message, link, or request is trying to steal it. Security fails when either link in that chain breaks. Good defense, therefore, comes from protecting both the secret itself and the judgment that decides when and where that secret should ever be used. One helpful protection is multi-factor authentication, MFA, which adds another layer by requiring more than a password alone before access is granted. This can make credential theft less damaging because the attacker may still lack the additional proof needed to finish the sign-in process. That does not make MFA magic, and it does not remove the need for phishing awareness, but it does reduce risk by making one stolen factor less powerful by itself. Beginners should understand the high-level logic rather than treating it as a product feature. If a password is something you know, then adding another factor means an attacker has more to overcome than just a captured secret. Even so, attackers may still try to trick users into approving prompts, revealing codes, or interacting with fraudulent sign-in workflows. That is why the strongest message remains the same. Password protection, MFA, and phishing awareness are most effective when they work together rather than being treated as separate topics that solve separate problems. A very practical skill for beginners is learning to notice warning signs without depending on any one clue alone. A message may be suspicious because it creates unusual urgency, asks for secrecy, demands credentials, requests payment changes, includes a strange link, or does not fit the sender's normal style or timing. A caller may be suspicious because the request is unexpected, the pressure is high, or the person resists normal verification. A website may be suspicious because it appeared through an unsolicited message rather than through your usual trusted path. The strongest habit is not hunting for one perfect sign. The strongest habit is noticing when the overall situation feels designed to rush you past normal verification. Attackers want speed because speed reduces scrutiny. Defenders want pause because pause creates space for judgment. That is why one of the best responses to a strange request is to slow down, verify through a trusted channel, and refuse to let urgency decide for you before legitimacy has been established. Verification is one of the simplest and strongest defenses against social engineering. If a request involves credentials, money, sensitive information, access changes, or unusual urgency, the user should verify it in a way that does not rely on the original suspicious message. That might mean contacting the person through a known phone number, using a bookmarked site instead of a provided link, checking with a manager through an internal channel, or following an established business process rather than improvising under pressure. This matters because attackers often build their trap so that everything inside the message seems to confirm the lie. If the target verifies using only the attacker's chosen path, the attacker still controls the conversation. Beginners benefit from hearing this because it turns awareness into action. Instead of merely feeling suspicious, the user has a next step. The next step is to step outside the suspicious channel and confirm the request through a trusted path that the attacker is less likely to control. Another major defense is reducing shame around mistakes so people report quickly. Social engineering works partly because humans are human, and even careful people can be deceived during a busy or stressful day. If a workplace culture makes people feel that admitting an error will destroy their reputation, employees may hide a click, conceal a reply, or delay reporting suspicious activity until the problem grows worse. A healthier culture teaches that rapid reporting after a mistake is responsible behavior, not proof of failure. For beginners, this is very important because awareness is not just about preventing every error perfectly. It is also about limiting harm when something goes wrong. If someone clicks a bad link or enters credentials on a suspicious page, reporting quickly can help the organization respond faster, reset access, watch for misuse, and reduce the overall impact. Silence helps the attacker. Prompt reporting helps the defender. That is why awareness and culture belong together in social engineering defense. Password protection also benefits from using tools and habits that reduce the need to memorize or improvise insecure choices. Many people create weak or reused passwords because they believe convenience and safety cannot coexist. In reality, secure habits become more sustainable when people have a realistic way to manage them. The important beginner-level lesson is not about mastering a particular product. It is about understanding that every important account should be protected by a unique, well-managed credential instead of by a small set of repeated personal favorites. It also means being careful about where credentials are stored, when they are shared, and whether the storage method itself supports security rather than weakening it. A sticky note in the wrong place, a password shared casually in chat, or a personal habit of entering credentials into any page that looks familiar can all undo stronger intentions. Defending access means making secure behavior practical enough that people can repeat it day after day without being pushed back toward unsafe shortcuts. It also helps beginners understand that phishing awareness extends beyond work accounts and formal business systems. A compromised personal email account, mobile device, cloud storage account, or messaging application can still affect workplace security if the same password is reused, if personal information helps an attacker craft a better work-focused scam, or if the attacker uses the personal account to impersonate the victim later. Social engineering crosses boundaries easily because it targets trust, relationships, and identity more than any single platform. That is why better habits in personal digital life can strengthen professional security as well. Learning to verify requests, protect passwords, distrust sudden urgency, and watch for manipulated messages is not just job training. It is part of safer digital living more broadly. For a beginner, that is encouraging because the same core habits keep paying off across work and personal life. Good judgment in one area tends to strengthen judgment in the other, and attackers often depend on people keeping those areas mentally separate when the risks are not truly separate at all. As you think about scenario questions or real-world situations, a useful habit is to ask what the attacker is trying to make the target feel or do. Is the message trying to create fear, urgency, obedience, sympathy, or curiosity? Is the real goal to steal credentials, gather information, trigger payment, or gain a foothold inside a trusted account? Once you answer those questions, many situations become easier to understand. The correct response usually involves slowing down, protecting credentials, verifying through a trusted path, refusing unusual secrecy or urgency, and reporting suspicious activity rather than handling it alone. Password protection and phishing awareness are therefore not separate memorization topics. They are connected defenses against the same larger problem, which is an attacker trying to turn human behavior into an access path. When beginners understand that connection, they are much better prepared to recognize why a simple message, call, or fake sign-in page can be so dangerous if it is met with speed and trust instead of caution and verification. As we close, remember that defending against social engineering begins with understanding that attackers often target people before they target systems. Social engineering works by manipulating trust, emotion, and routine behavior so that a user opens the door voluntarily. Phishing is one of the most common ways this happens, and password theft is one of the most common goals behind it. That is why password protection matters so much, and also why strong passwords alone are not enough if users can still be tricked into revealing them. The best defense comes from combining secure password habits, unique credentials, careful handling of sign-in activity, MFA, suspicious message awareness, trusted verification, and fast reporting when something feels wrong or goes wrong. For beginners, that combination is the real lesson to carry forward. Defending access is not just about stronger secrets. It is about stronger judgment in the moments when someone is trying to rush, flatter, scare, or pressure you into giving away trust that should have remained protected.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit DailyCyber.News.